This story isn't just another tragic incident. 27 children suffered from horrific injuries that often ended in death. Families were left distraught by the events that followed the release of a seemingly educational and safe toy named Magnetix. To understand the tragedy that took place, you need to understand how it started. In the late 90s to early 2000s, a shiny new toy was introduced to the younger generation of kids. It was called Magnetix. The toy consisted of colorful plastic building blocks and small rods that were held together by tiny but high-powered magnets. The purpose of the toy was to allow children to build whatever they wanted, whilst also learning what magnets were. You could make anything from tiny colorful houses to giant race courses. The possibilities were endless. At first, children loved this toy, but it was quickly proved to be dangerous when in 2004, reports of injuries began piling in. In 2005, on Thanksgiving night, a young boy living in the suburbs of Seattle lost his life. His name was Kenny Sweet Jr., and he was 21 months old. At first, his parents believed he had caught some type of stomach bug, so they treated him as such. They were unaware at the time, but young Kenny Sweet had eaten multiple small magnets from his older brother's new toy. As Kenny played with this new Magnetix toy in his room, he was overcome with the endless amount of things he could make. Although Kenny was not old enough to play with the Magnetix toy, his mother allowed him to play with it only when she was present. Tragically enough, she was unaware of what Kenny was doing. After a while of building, the magnetic toy began to break. Small magnets began falling from the toy. Young Kenny saw the shiny balls in the carpet, and as most children would, he ate them. It's unknown how many magnets he ate, but it was enough to affect him almost immediately. No one knew why Kenny was acting strange as he returned to his family. He held his stomach in pain and became very weak. The sudden onset of intense symptoms scared Kenny's parents. They tried to give him medicine and comforted him, but Kenny seemed to be getting worse. After a while of screaming, throwing up, and clutching his stomach, Kenny's parents knew something wasn't right. Nobody knew at the time, but the magnets he had digested, although small, were extremely strong. The magnets were ripping through his intestines, causing life-threatening injuries and unbelievable pain. His parents took him to the hospital, but unfortunately, it was too late. The magnets in young Kenny's stomach had traveled from his throat to his intestines like a bullet. It destroyed every organ in its path. Minutes after arriving at A&E, 21-month-old Kenny Sweet's heart stopped beating. It wasn't until March 31st, 2006 that the CPSC decided to get involved. The CPSC organization recalled a few versions of these toys, but other Magnetix toys were deemed safe for ages 6+. The CPSC could have saved a lot of young children. Instead, they cited a new law to protect the manufacturers. 27 serious injuries had been reported, and the first known death being Kenny Sweet. But it wasn't until tragedy struck another boy that they finally decided to take action. Braden Eberly was just 4 years old when he was hospitalized in April 2007 and had to undergo immediate surgery to save his life. It began one day when 4-year-old Braden ran to his mother screaming and crying as he told her he had swallowed one of his toys. Braden's mother was obviously concerned, but after Braden stopped crying, he appeared to be fine. She thought he had eaten a small piece of plastic and that he would be fine. Little did she know, Braden had in fact swallowed a magnet. She monitored him during the night and he seemed fine. The next day, when Braden's mother was in her living room, Braden appeared again. He was crying hysterically, saying he had swallowed another toy. His mother was unaware that her 4-year-old son had 2 magnets inside his body and that they were racing through his intestines. It was inevitable that the magnets would soon connect, and when they did, it was catastrophic. Braden's mother frantically searched Braden's room for any sign of a broken toy or missing pieces of a toy, but she found nothing. That was until she stepped back to examine the bedroom. Something shiny was camouflaged on the carpet. Braden's mother discovered tiny magnets were scattered all around her son's bedroom. Her concern grew as she realized that her 4-year-old son had been consuming multiple magnets over the last few days. Finally, she took Braden to the hospital. At first, doctors said he looked fine, but with a closer inspection of Braden's stomach using an X-ray machine, it was revealed that the magnets were already connected in Braden's bowel, and he was at extremely high risk of his bowel opening and spilling out into his body. He was rushed in for surgery. Although doctors tried their best to make the surgery go smoothly, it was discovered that Braden had an infection. The magnets had been removed, but Braden Eberly was extremely close to death. But as if by a miracle, 4-year-old Braden had survived. He spent 10 days in the hospital to treat the infection and to recover. As terrible as this incident was, it was the last time the Magnetix toy would harm another child. Shortly after Braden's incident, CPSC finally took action on April the 19th, 2007. On that day alone, the CPSC recalled over 4 million sets of the Magnetix toy. It seemed that finally, children would be safe when playing with their favorite toys. It's unknown if any more injuries occurred after this. However, I wouldn't be surprised if another deadly toy is soon to be put on the shelves for children to use.